Hey folks, welcome back. We are right where we left off in the last episode at the end of turn 123 here. Just about to exit the medieval era. And frankly, I have spent a lot of time sitting here thinking about my choices before I got into this episode because it's actually a somewhat complicated position to be in terms of the culture that I would like to pick going into the next era. You'll recall from the last episode, I've mostly secured my continents, except for Kusa here. We'll take care of them pretty quickly and wrap that up. Get some bonus fame for securing the entire continent. I might even think about vassalizing them, but we'll see. But long story short, and it probably won't be that short knowing me, here's my sort of fame distribution right now. I've looked at sort of where I am, and I have thought about going for another few turns because, frankly, 9 more districts and about another 6,500 more fame, or influence rather, is relatively achievable with my current outputs. And I have a bunch of quarters that are already being built or in the process of being built, right? And the influence here with the aesthete stars would take about 5 or 6 more turns. So it's not that far off. The problem I think I would run into is if I continued to do that, I would be really deep in this tech tree and I would have to play a very, very shortened, very shortened early modern era, because I would have this really early sort of ticking time bomb where I'm going to start wasting my research really early on in the era. So regardless of what I'm going to do, I am going to start switching people off science here because I need that to actually slow down a bit so I can catch up with some of my other outputs for the next era. So I'm going to queue up a few other things in some of these cities, and I actually did a little bit of that before this episode, so there may be some minor discrepancies in how I'm allocating people. So here, the other thing I've noticed is I did get all my agrarian stars this game, but I am starting to run low on food in a lot of my cities. That's going to be a consideration for me going into the next era. I'm working on these grand mosques here. Let's just move some people off science for now. Let's keep them growing. Something like that. Okay. So, in terms of the cultures I would like to pick, I have a lot of options. The only one that's been picked so far is the Poles, and frankly, I didn't have any interest in picking the Poles. So, I thought about the Maasai. The Maasai are interesting. I don't think the Nkang is that great, frankly, just because exploitations are going to get filled in. The idea with the Nkang is you kind of place it far away in an area you're not going to develop. I don't feel like I have a lot of strong candidates in cities for that. The reduction on population consumption is nice, so it lets you do more with the food you already have. The Morans are interesting, and I would say it's kind of an advantage over the Dutch, over the Haudenosaunee. I prefer that unit to the Rodiscan Waketa. But I think the district is pretty weak, which is something that's kind of important in the early modern. I feel like medieval era tends to have some weak districts, not so much the case in early modern. And before I talk about some more, just my general philosophy on how I pick my cultures is that early on, I do like to kind of prioritize building a good production and science base to carry me on later into the game. And if you've looked at sort of my historical patterns of how I've picked cultures, I will often prioritize getting that early production or early science. Sometimes I will go for the merchants, like I will play the Nubians with some regularity. They're a pretty good culture, especially with more recent updates where sort of using money has become a little bit more viable, but they also provide production, right? But later on, I'll kind of transition into, okay, look at where I am at in the game and start building up my influence and my money stars. I still haven't really figured out diplomat stars. It's a bit of a black box for me still. Um, but generally what I'll do later is say, okay, where am I weak? Am I not producing enough food? Am I not producing enough influence? Am I not producing enough money? And try to target the cultures that are going to let me do that. And actually, depending on how weak I am in the generation of those specific outputs at any given point in the game, I may actually prioritize a culture that lets me generate those outputs without that actually being my primary era star. So the Nubians might be an example of that, for instance, where that's very early on in the game, of course, but although they're merchants, they do generate and help support your production with their pyramids, right? I'm trying to remember if there's another example like that in the early modern. The early modern is pretty focused in terms of how it generates stuff. The Venetians might be an example of this, right? So the Venetians, if you have already okay to decent money production, but you really need to focus on influence, the Venetians can help you sort of bolster your influence output while maintaining your good position in money generation. I did think about the Venetians actually. But anyway, where that puts me is I would really like to get money and influence. Those are my two weakest outputs at the moment. Now, obviously, the diplomat stars with leverage could be good too. I think the problem is that my continent is pretty much already cleared. I'm not going to be generating very many grievances in the next era. So I think it's pretty unlikely I would actually meet these stars, which are the most important stars to get. Then you have the Watchmakers Guild, which gives you slots, basically, based on the adjacent districts. And I already don't really have enough population to make use of all my slots anyway, and I'm running low on food, so I don't think I could make good use of the Swiss. I think the Dutch are a culture I'm in contention for, or that is in contention, I should say. So the Dutch, the +1 money per population on cities obviously gives a decent amount of money. And the VOC warehouse, I won't be getting a lot of the +20 money per adjacent harbor. I will get some of it, but also the +2 money per trader slots is quite good. And then the Fluid would help me get to foreign shores more quickly, which I will definitely be doing. The Inca are not great this game. If you look around my territory, you have some concentrations of mountains, but it's not like it is in some games where you can get really high mountain density. It's just not, there's just not enough of them in this game for them to be a great choice, in my opinion, although they do give both food as well as industry with the terrace farms. In the right situation, they're quite good, and I do like the Sapa Inca guards. They're just not the pick for this game. Now, the Haudenosaunee, I think, are a very strong contender for me to pick. They don't address something that I'm having an issue with immediately. So, which is specifically the influence as well as the gold generation. However, I am running low on food in a lot of my cities, and even without having to build anything, they will help my city start growing immediately. I am worried about my agrarian stars in the next era. The side benefit to that, to having more population, is that having more population also helps you get more of all your other outputs, right? So although it looks like they're just benefiting food, depending on how I distribute my slots and what slots are available, they can help me get more industry, money, or science, and you get extra influence from your population as well. So having higher population helps me generate influence. The city cap is something I also value a lot in Humankind. Having more cities means more everything, basically. So the higher your city cap and the fewer penalties you take from having more cities, the better. So Haudenosaunee, I think, are a strong contender. I haven't sort of done the calculus yet on how they compare to some of my other options. Jussan, good culture, not the culture I want this time around, I don't think. Now, there is an argument to be made that because I'm already so far in the tech tree, that the Jussan are actually the ideal pick, right? Because then I don't have to sort of feel rushed, and I can keep teching up into the industrial while still getting my era stars, both in this era as well as in the early modern, right? So the Jussan are kind of the pick if I want to do that. The issue I run into is that that becomes a bit of a risk because there's a possibility in, say, the 6 turns I take before I take the Jusson, and if I want to get the rest of these medieval era stars, someone else might pick them. So I'd have to pick them probably sooner, because then I'd kind of be screwing myself. The Ming, good option for me. I do like the Ming, and I have some benefits to Commons Quarters to building them already. And the Grand Tea House counts as a Commons Quarter, so I could build it pretty cheap. And it does provide quite a bit of influence, which I sorely need, as well as the extra influence per number of enacted civics. I counted that up. It would be something like 160 influence bonus, which isn't amazing, but it's something. The Grand Tea House is obviously the main draw. And because it counts as the Commons Quarter, it's going to benefit from some of the infrastructure and VIP as well that'll increase its influence output later. And of course provide some stability, which can help bolster some of my cities. The Rocket Cart, it's fine. I don't really have much to say about that. The Mughals, obviously, industry helps you kind of do everything, and I do have a strong industrial base already. It is a consideration. I'm not really thinking about the Ottomans or the Spanish. So I do like both of these cultures. I don't think I need their effects this game to be successful. I really need to get outputs and not increase my ability to conquer things. And frankly, Faith Generation at this point in the game is not that important to me. I've already got my religion. I'm not as worried about it. There's just not enough stuff that Faith really combines with to make it that important once you've gotten your last tenant, in my opinion. The Edo, I think the Edo, I don't know if this is buffed. I guess you have this +5 influence per adjacent mountain, and it counts as the religious district, which has some other effects. The Edo, to me, I'm going to guess that, so VIP, it no longer requires being connected to a main plaza or administrative center. I mentioned before I don't have a lot of mountains, so Edo probably not worth it. But frankly, I still don't see the Edo as being competitive with the Ming. Especially since here the Grand Tea House has +1 influence per district, right? And in the base game, this was actually changed so that it's +1 influence per district in the territory that the Grand Tea House is built in, which I felt like was a complete over nerf of the Ming. They generate way too little influence. But with this just being flat +1 influence per district, I don't feel the Edo are actually competitive with the Ming. I would pick the Ming over the Edo pretty much every time. The Venetians I did think about, because the Bottega would give me like 25 or 30 gold from its extra effect of the +1 money on tile, in addition to sort of scaling up throughout the course of the game. I'd say the Bottega and the VOC Warehouse can often be somewhat competitive with each other, but the VOC Warehouse will pull away if you have a lot of harbors. The problem is I'm not going to make very good use of the unique trait just because I don't really have that many trade routes, and I'm unlikely to have many trade routes in the future. So I did kind of rule them out. So I think where I'm sitting is I'm between the Ming, the Joseon are a possibility, the Haudenosaunee, or the Dutch. One thing I forgot to mention about the Ming as well is that one of the primary ways to get the diplomat stars is basically by generating grievances and forgiving them, right? And one of the best ways to generate grievances is by having cultural influence over other people's territory. And by having increased influence, I could apply more pressure to other people's culture, thereby generating more grievances and allowing me to get more of the diplomat stars if I forget those grievances. So that is a consideration as well. So I'm going to think about this for a minute because I really haven't decided on what I want to do still, and we'll get back into it once I've picked a culture. All right, folks, welcome back. And you may see that I am hovering over the Ming, and that is the culture I'm going to pick. I think it makes the most sense in my situation, and I'll explain a little bit why and about kind of what my strategy is. So the Grand Tea House is... Okay, let me back up. I'm going to have a short era because I've already researched a lot of the techs into the next era, which is kind of one of the disadvantages of taking a science culture, right? Is that you can sometimes get shoehorned into just picking all science cultures the entire game because otherwise your tech progress is slowed down significantly because you're not researching anything once you get to the end of the tech tree in the era, right? So I'm going to have a very fast era. So I need a lot of oomph from the culture that I'm picking. So here's what the Ming is going to give me. I'm going to get a lot of influence right off the bat, right? Just by building the Grand Tea House. Really importantly, because I have a discount to Commons Quarters, I can build the Grand Tea Houses really quickly, which means my influence is going to catch up very quickly, right? So that actually gives me a chance of generating those era stars. Now, my other consideration is like, okay, what about the merchant stars? I really want to get the merchant stars, right? So I think my plan for the merchant stars, I will continue to develop my sort of money-based cities, right? And I do have a fair bit of infrastructure I can still get in most of my cities that'll help boost my money output. But I'm also going to go into the next era and immediately claim Taj Mahal. That'll help bolster my money production quite a bit, and I'm hoping that'll at least let me get a couple stars in each era going forward. And then finally, the Grand Tea House, because it's a Commons Quarter, I'll have quite a few Commons Quarters. That means my cities are going to have quite high stability. You can see most of them are in a surplus already. What this means effectively for me is that it's going to be a lot easier to maintain cities over the city cap. So although it's not going to provide me directly with +1 city cap like the Haudenosaunee are, because I'll have such high stability, I can kind of go over here and start conquering people, basically, without incurring any significant penalties on the cities that I already have. So that's my plan. Let's see if it works out. Let's get going. All right, Ming. Welcome to the early modern. I know we're already 10 minutes or 15 minutes in or something. I had to start a separate recording for this. Yeah, so this plus 57 influence tells me that this was almost certainly the right choice here. Let's not break up the Maker's Quarters here, because that could be quite good later. Oh, that one's plus 19 somehow. That seems a little weird to me. Regardless, I think actually these might be a moot point. Where else does it recommend? Yeah, 57 up there. I'll take a slightly reduced number, I think, to make sure that I can keep building these market quarters in that area. Down here, let's see. I think like right in there is fine. I don't think I'm going to be building anything in that direction at any point. Most of the influence generation from these is not from the adjacency. What's this? It's just from the having a bunch of districts in your city already. Ideally, we'd not have these next to each other. I kind of have weird placement options here. Is -5 food that big of a deal? Not really. Though, yeah, the best food is up there. I don't really like putting it on river. I'd prefer to put this somewhere that it'll have an actual effect on stability, but okay. I think that works. I have another one apparently. Alright folks, sorry there. I had to put in a little cut. I was suddenly getting some like feedback in my headset of hearing myself talk in like this really garbled manner. And I feel like it was just some electrical interference because my headphone cord was kind of tangled up with my microphone. So I've gone and untangled it, and hopefully that'll resolve my issue, and hopefully it doesn't appear on the recording. I don't see why it would. That would be a really funky issue to have. Okay, anyway, we're going to get back to building the tea houses. Let's get these guys moving. Let's see. I'm going to wait to upgrade those, I think. I don't think we have a case to leave these units in my territory. We want to prepare them for a strike on another continent. And the same thing here. Get them into the water. That'll work. And we do want to claim Taj Mahal, which I can't do. Don't have enough influence. Let's use Cultural Blitz here to get a bunch. It's 5,000 down there. Seems like it's probably the highest. Was it that one? There we go. See that? You can go ahead and claim Taj Mahal, and we'll go back and claim Topkapi later as well. Also want to pick up a few of these. So what I'm going to do first is Imperialists, so plus 10 war support when winning a battle. And then next I'll pick up Political Entitlement, the plus 3 combat strength on militia, which will get me back on the Liberty axis. We'll wait till I have a little bit more influence for that. As far as tech goes, I am going to go straight to Flintlock for the Musketeers. Now let's get back to getting some of these districts going. Let's see. Yeah, we're going to deprioritize those. 64 influence, pretty strong. Let's see. Yeah, I suppose that'll work. And yeah, I'm not really going to be building the science quarters back this way. Eventually I'll attach these and build the science quarters in that direction. That's fine. Actually, you know what? No, that's near a river. Yeah, because I can get decent outputs there. So maybe I build this down here. And yeah, right there is fine too. Okay, let's get these out of the way. Get another tea house still. For industry. Probably not that big of a deal to lose, but that is where most of my industry is concentrated. So let's build it kind of on the edge somewhere. I feel like over here is actually a decent option. Yeah, that seems fine. Oh, and still have another one. Yeah, I guess right there is fine. Okay, so a lot of those going. I am tempted to get the grain silos first. I mean, it's only what, 22 food? I guess I could get up to like 26 more food. So I do want to keep growing. Yeah, we'll get the grain silos first, and then we'll get the rest of the stuff. And down here, more tea houses. It's fine. Yeah, that's fine too. Get one more in there. Oops, did not want to clear ruins. I also feel like some of this money stuff is probably good down here, at least the commodity markets. We'll come back to that. Okay, don't want to end my turn quite yet. I've also just unlocked the saltpeter mines. That seems fine. Yeah, that also seems fine. I don't really have a specific grouping of things that go there. That'll improve my satrap's palace outputs, but might be disruptive if I decide I want to swap into market quarters here. So I think I'm going to put this more like right in here. Now that's fine too. Yep, those all work. Okay. We're going to put the Grand Mosque on the end. I don't really want to increase my science output at the moment. If something's really close, I'll let it finish. But otherwise, I really want to prioritize getting my influence. I'm just going to buy that Maker's Quarter. Shut that one in there. And over here, let's see. Don't feel like I'm really... maybe I could build more makers in that direction at some point. I think I'm unlikely to build it in this direction, though, so we'll build it on top of that tile there. I did it in Byblos, I did. How about Thebes? I did not. It's fine. See, that will... Actually, you know what? That's a little disruptive to the direction I'm going in with those. Maybe more like right there. Put one there. Suppose I could do one down in this direction. Yeah, next to this harbor is actually okay, I think. It's fine. -2 industry there, that's fine too. Okay. Did I miss anything? I think I got everything queued up. Alright. Yeah, we'll let that finish, and then straight into the tea houses. Keep you on food. Gee, let's go on expert policy on everyone. I'm gonna do industry, money, food. Actually, let's do food and money. So, expert policy, industry, money, or food, money. Expert, industry, food, money. Industry, food, and money. Industry, food, and money. Industry, food, and money. Okay. Okay, that should do. And down here. See, I don't think I built the other saltpeter. Surely I have more than that one, right? No? Do I only have one saltpeter? Wow. That is pretty unusual. That's also a bit of a problem because musketeers require 2. Huh. Okay. Okay. Let's cancel that for now, because this isn't actually going to give me any benefit. I won't be able to build those things at the moment. What do you want? Renounce those. So part of me that thinks I should try to trade everything here. They're still in the medieval, though. They're the ones... Yeah, I don't know who's in the early modern. Maybe I need to go after that guy early before he gets access to the arquebuses. And that really sucks, though, because then I have to upgrade these things before I have musketeers, which is going to cost so much money to keep upgrading everything. These guys aren't going to survive. Not sure what to do, honestly. Let's keep moving them for now. It'd be really nice if I could just find like a little island out here that has some saltpeter. Cog, I don't need. I might need Carax, honestly. Let's get naval artillery. Very odd choice for me, but I do actually think I need them to explore the oceans a bit and hope I can find an island or something that has some saltpeter. Okay. Bountiful. Or supplements. That's 5% money. Could use that, honestly. Obviously, it's not the industry, which I would prefer at the moment, but... here we go. Okay, so we could go for extra industry on farmers, and extra stability per overpopulation, or money per overpopulation to science per trader. Don't really know which one of those I would want to pick at the moment. Regardless, I want my combat strength on militia right off the bat, specifically so that I'm back on liberty and generating more of my influence outputs. Okay. They want to trade everything. There's a part of me that says I should do it, right? Because I want to be able to upgrade my musketeers, and they're very likely to have saltpeter. It means I would just have to go after the person who's already the strongest player in the game. I think I'm going to do it. Let's renounce. I think, frankly, my army is better positioned to go after a different player. Most of my strength is on this side of the map at the moment. I know there's a... There we go. Don't know why they went that way. A nice little bonus influence in science there. Also want to start on the Taj Mahal soon. Because I would really like to claim Topkapi as well. I'm going to give it a couple turns for some of these tea houses to finish. Okay, this is good. So this island here does have coffee, which is actually more worthwhile in this, right? Because farmers are actually useful in VIP relative to base game. But also it may have some strategics that I want. I'm really hoping it does. So researcher slots per commons quarter would be quite nice for me. That's an interesting change from the base game. Not sure how I feel about that. I do feel like, in general, the decisions in VIP are a little more complex and stack on each other a little bit more than they do in the base game. And I think that is probably a good thing for people who are veterans of the game and really understand how it works. However, I do think it probably makes it more complicated for people not in that position, right? That's fine. Takes one turn regardless. Let them get that. Actually, okay. Do they... They have no resources. That can't be right. Okay, well, let's grab Flintlock regardless. Just need to get some exploration done here so I know who's who. And so, frankly, I can hopefully get some grievances on someone that I would like to target with my units. Because I would like to get at least... Whoops. Would like to at least get a foothold on this other continent. Specifically if I don't have any saltpeter. It's going to make it really challenging if I don't act relatively quickly. Alright. Some more luxuries, which are a welcome addition. Another group of islands there. Okay. I can start in Taj Mahal. Thinking I'll do it in Byblos. Simply because it's the one struggling the most with stability, which makes sense. It's one of the largest cities. So I'm going to put it there just because that'll connect this up and give me more opportunities to kind of build out along this river. And I don't want to spend any money buying stuff out at the moment. 418 is fine. That's a cheap buyout. But I do want to conserve, same with 146 there. I do want to conserve most of my money for purchasing unit upgrades for the time being. I have everyone on Taj Mahal? I think I do. Okay, great. I can really feel the impact of what feels like a lower city cap. Okay, so I've met people. Got the Aztecs here. We've got the Poles here, and they can already go into the next era. They've slightly overtaken me again, which I'm not actually worried about. That happens all the time. Let's see. I want an alliance. You know, I'm going to refuse, just because if I have an alliance with them, I don't generate grievances, which is what I need to get the diplomatic era stars. So frankly, I'd rather be hostile. Let's see. This is interesting. I'm going to hold off on voting for that. I don't actually know which one of those I would want. I do have a small amount of trade that would collapse if one of those other options were picked. Sorry, if, what's it called? The isolationism is picked, but I would welcome the city cap. Minus 10% food, sure. 500 gold is really not that much. Relative to minus 15% food. It's not a big deal either way. Let's take a look at my stars here. Yeah, this might be a rough era, to be honest. Okay. Let's grab chartered companies, because I'm going to need some gold. Speaking of gold, let's start getting some of this infrastructure that I've neglected to get. That one has better value there. Actually, 4 turns versus 5 turns. Look at the cheaper one first. What's my agrarian star goal? 275. I need to start building some more units if I want to reach that. Let's see. Non-aggression pact. I don't think so. I'm going to refuse that. I think they are probably my best targets. They're a little bit underdeveloped. Too bad I'm not an expansionist. So I could really get in there and scout things out. So I think the Aztecs are my target, which is kind of a tough target, but that's the position I'm in. That's where they are on the map. Excuse me. Might need a navy to support if I can only manage to afford arquebuses. Yeah, they've got some scouts out too. Yeah, I'm really surprised I only have 1 saltpeter. So weird. Let's end the turn. So there's my Taj Mahal, which is going to increase my money generation quite a bit. Great. So Santa Maria del Fiore is taken, which is too bad. It's one of the ones I would have liked. But I'm going to grab Topkapi. There's a very good wonder. Lets you accelerate the late game upon. See, it's still my lowest stability city, I think. So I might just concentrate Topkapi in Byblos. Wouldn't mind some of those. Let's buy that one. And I don't know. I don't think that's a great spot. Maybe like up here or something. Or just out of the way, honestly. Yeah, just like right there. Maybe I let this continue to work on its grand tea houses, because finish that one. I would like to get that influence going as soon as possible. What's the turn difference on Topkapi if I add that? It goes down to 3 turns. I don't think that's vital, to be honest, so I'm going to let the other cities focus on that while Byblos continues to build the tea houses. Okay. Independent people. Try to get as much vision as I can of this territory. I'm a little worried because a lot of these units, I can upgrade them to like medieval era units, but not all of them are going to upgrade to arquebuses. So I can't upgrade them to early modern units until I have musketeers. So there is a case to be made that I should build some more units, I think. Should also get more industry in Mycenae, probably. It's still in an okay spot, but it is going to start falling behind as we open up some of the later technologies here. Okay. Keep scouting. Only have 1 star. Looks like science. Whoa, if my scroll wheel would work. There we go. And the aesthete stars are going to be rough. Yeah, this is going to be a rough era in general. There's a part of me that wonders if I should buy out Topkapi with population. That'll work there. See. What's this? This looks like an unclaimed territory. That might have niter. Or saltpeter, I guess. Which I desperately need. Another unclaimed territory here. Let's head up there with some units. And a lot of unknown strategics in my territory. Hopefully that means I have a lot of coal. Nothing there, really. Nothing really here. Okay. Do cultural blitz. Do you have any grievances with these guys? I don't. I still have to take them out. I've kind of been forgetting about them, to be honest. Okay. Okay, I already had units up here. We'll get them up on the land there and make sure we claim this territory. So I want to control this unit here. I thought that was a melee unit, to be honest. That was going to come claim that island, which I didn't want. And tech. Mercantilism would be okay. Actually, I could use the high furnace. The extra industry in cities. Yeah, let's wrap that up this turn. Okay, and that'll free my other cities up to do their things. Also claim a new wonder, which I very well might do. I think the hotel would actually be quite useful for me, because it gives some regeneration outside of my territory and some extra combat strength. I'm going to grab that. I'm not going to build it right away. Early Modern has a lot of good to decent wonders. I will share maps. Interesting. Okay, where's the saltpeter? Make full sail. There is another island down there. Oh, I can't. Oh, shit. So, that's a little annoying, actually. And something I haven't had to deal with before. So, I've researched musketeers. So, they're the only unit I can upgrade to. I can't upgrade them to arquebuses, so I'm just, like, stuck at this with these old units until I can find another source of saltpeter. Probably that one. Problem is, I don't have any grievances. Wonder if I can get an agreement here. Yeah, I don't think I was going to be able to. This makes for an interesting dilemma. Do I just have to turtle up a bit and try to go into the next era? The problem is I need my militarist stars. I could go after some of these independent people, I guess. Huh. This is just a very odd position to be in, isn't it? Yeah, like none of these islands have what I'm looking for. How much do they even have over here? Let's see. I spy 2 there. 1 here. I think there's 1 down here. It's 4. I feel like there's usually 6, right? On the map. Okay, there's furnace steel. Yeah. Come on. Show me my tooltip. 30 industry. Okay. It's alright. Ooh, 28 money. I'm gonna go ahead and buy that. Actually, I should be a little more aggressive with buying now that I can't actually upgrade some of these units. Suppose if I have, like, pikes, they could upgrade to halberdiers, but I don't think I really have done that. Actually should have paid more attention in my culture selection. Knowing that I didn't have this. It might have changed who I wanted to pick, frankly. Aggression pact. No. I guess maybe I should be spamming this. I do have the influence to support it, right? And that way I can... I guess that doesn't generate a grievance. That's too bad. I guess I have to wait for that sort of cooldown to run out. Kind of want to wait for units to spawn here. Let's fight. Oh, I can't deploy on that spot. Interesting. Thought I'd be able to. This is a bit of a problem, actually. Can't really use all my units. I don't want to put them on the front line, they'll just die to the knights. I think we have high ground here, which is doing a lot for me. Okay, let's get in the way here. Oh, nice. Alright, no longer worried. Please, will one of these places just have niter? That's all I ask. I feel like I have more advanced transports than they do. Let's go ahead and take this, I think. Shit. Never mind. Usually, so I'm not always certain about how the naval battlefields are defined, because sometimes they don't include the land at all, and sometimes they do. It doesn't seem very consistent to me. Just grab chivalry quickly. Then mercantilism with stability could be okay. Does get the extra industry per worker as well. I don't really need the science stuff right now is the thing. Yeah, I'm already closing in on all the techs I could research. See how I'm doing on my stars. Not great. Yeah, I'm in a really tough position because I do rely a lot on the what are they called? The expansionists and the militarist stars. It's something you kind of just have to do in Humankind difficulty. Let's see. Go ahead and buy that, because I could need some more slots here. $20 money, $24 money. Yeah, let's get all that stuff. Okay, let's explore down here. Oh, thank God. Okay, Niter, please and thank you. There's also Mercury here. Is that the only one? Yeah. Well, let's grab that. Okay, so that solves a lot of my problems. Oops. See, go for it right there, I suppose. Alright, let's start upgrading some people. So we're going to, yep, let's go right there, and they can just transition onto the water pretty easily on the next turn. There'll be an escort. Fortunately, I don't have any grievances here. Kind of wish they would like randomly attack one of my units or something, but that's not going to happen. Alright, they can get on the water. How's my... Yeah, I don't really have any influence that I'm generating over here. Actually, I don't think I'm having any effect at all. I feel like I should with these guys, right? I have some trade routes down here. So if I... Does trade only affect the faith? I feel like it, in base game, it affects this stuff as well, but I could be mistaken. What is that? That is... What? That's insane. Okay. Over here. Can I take that now? Looks like I probably can. So the only reason I'm really doing this is because I want the stars from, I want the militarist era stars, obviously. Let's get them up there. I actually can't shoot this turn. That's fine. Thought they could, but I was forgetting my basic combat rules, I suppose. Alright, let's get you moving. Where would I want to make landfall? This is the easiest option as far as just getting an easy city. If I want to go for Gergovia. Kerma or Napata are probably more useful cities. Certainly have a lot more luxuries and all that. The Silk would be very nice. Harder to siege. I'd have to like come up in this direction. I'd have ticking war score because it's going to be an unjust war. I feel like I maybe have an effect that gives me some more score when I declare war, but I could be mistaken. Yeah, I might be thinking about another game where I have like Colosseum or something. I don't remember all the civics. Okay. So I'm speaking of civics. Let's go all in on this extra money, I think. The 2 money for overpopulation. This gives me the 10% money. Let's get that. And we're going to get the 1 researcher on slot per Commons Quarter. Here, we're going to get going to go for the extra combat strength on units. All right. Looking dandy there. Oh. It's a little annoying. I actually remember getting a notification for that at some point not that long ago. that one of my territories was being pillaged, and I was like, I will get back to that in a minute, and I never did. By that. Yeah, we'll just take the unit I can get in one turn, I suppose. Hoping I can buy that out next turn. Hey folks, this actually turned out to be a pretty long episode again, so I've put a little cut in here to make it a little more digestible. It was nearing 2 hours, kind of like what happened last time. So I'd like to thank you for tuning in, and we're going to pick up where we left off here in the next episode. See you then.